Welcome back, gamers, to another War Game Wednesday. And today we're taking a look at the Aeronautica Iimperialis Thunderhawk gunship. Finally made us a plastic gunship. I know it's not the full-size Thunderhawk, but the fact that they did make it in plastic leads to believe that it could be made in plastic, full size. Not saying it is, not spreading any rumors. I'm just saying this is something that could happen, and has been anticipated for so many years for so many people. But all right, let's get it over to the table, see what comes inside the box, and give you guys my thoughts. Sit tight. Hey man, here it is. The Thunderhawk gunship. Now, people think it's not a big deal. It's whatever. It's another fighter for Aeronautica. But believe me when I tell you, this is a huge deal for Games Workshop, Space Marine players, and everything. You know what I mean? Because up until this point, Games Workshop in the 90s released a full metal Thunderhawk gunship, like full-size metal Thunderhawk gunship. They only released a certain amount. They were gone. They were really expensive. They were gone right away. And that was it. Forge World came along and created a resin one. Again, really big, full-size, beautiful model, but ridiculously expensive. Like, we're talking hundreds of dollars for a model that you would probably barely use in a game. Most people bought them for collectors, you know what I'm saying, as collectors. Now, given that 6th edition of 40K, which is way back, released the rules for flyers. We had flyer rules before from Forge World, but they were unofficial rules, like you had to ask your opponent if you could use a flyer or whatever. These are pretty powerful. Games Workshop finally incorporated the flying rules into the game at 6th edition, which changed the game a lot, because it created a lot of, like, vacuum for that, the power creep, so they had to compensate with a lot of different units, different types of things to help you deal with it. This was rumored to be a plastic kit coming out for Games Workshop's full-size scale years and years and years, and almost 20 years ago they were rumoring this. Never happened. It was one of those things. Eventually I had went to a convention, Games Day, and asked the officials, and they were like, no, it's not going to happen. It's just not something that's plausible, and understandable, because the biggest models they made were like dreadnoughts, so completely understandable. Here we are 20 years later, and they finally released a plastic version of this kit. Now, it is for Aeronautica, so it's way smaller, but the value of that is the potential to create something bigger. They do have the ability now to create big scale models, which they have, so something like this is just a dream for a lot of people. And like my buddy Joe has always wanted one of these, and he's always wanted a plastic one. And here we are. It's not the biggest, it's not the full size, but it'll do for me for now. So here we have everything that comes in the box. You got your base, because it's a single model. Your Space Marine decal sheet. Again, no Imperial fists. It's all right. I'm not hurt. Got 2 sprues here. We'll take a look at those in a second. We've got our flight stems. And we've got our instruction manual. We'll take a quick look. You guys can see. Looks like a big wedge, like just a big block, but this thing punches its way through the air. And that huge mega cannon on top. It's crazy. I'm really interested to see how this performs in the game. There's the stats there for the card. Again, I like it because you can photocopy a ton of these. I bought them, but you don't need them. Okay, this is a you don't need these. They're great for convenience, but don't waste your money on these. Excuse me, don't waste your money. Trust me when I tell you, just don't waste your money. Go into the book, photocopy these, and you'll be just as good. All right, here's the first sprue. And you can see this is just huge. compared to the other fighters and stuff that I showed you. If you've seen, look at how big the fuselage is for that. That is just phenomenal, man. And this is the cool thing is like, there's not many other vehicles in the 41st millennium that are bigger than this. There's one other Space Marine flyer that's bigger than this, but this is the biggest one they've made. And it just goes to show what they're capable of now. You know? I mean, it sucks that a lot of their stuff is overpriced. You know, but I mean, this is like a boutique hobby, right? Like, it's one of those things where when you jump in, you know you're jumping. You have to know you're jumping in the deep end with this stuff, and you're going to be paying a lot of money for this stuff. Or, you know, you do the 3D printed route, or the recast route, whatever. I'm not judging. Whatever floats your boat, man. You know, do your thing. But I'm just saying, you jump into Games Workshop's games. You're going to jump in. Mind you, I think Aeronautica is a lot cheaper than 40K, but I'm buying all of them. So for me, it's not. All right, here's a second sprue. I thought it was the same. I actually thought it was a copy, but it's not. It's actually, you got different parts of the fuselage here. Just look at the detail, man. Like, look at that. You know? Just goes to show they put the effort in. You get some really quality stuff from them. But then there's times where you're like, Jesus, I paid all that money for this little thing. You know what I mean? Awesome. All right, so there you have it, man. Space Marine Thunderhawk gunship. You know the deal, man. Let's get her built. Let's get her done. So you guys can see what she looks like. All right, sit tight. Oh my God, here we go, guys. This is it. This is the Thunderhawk gunship. I mean, this thing is freaking cool. Let me show you guys just real quick. That's a Fire Raptor. And there's a Thunderhawk. So it's huge, huge. It even came with an extra stem piece to add to its flight stem, so it, you know, looks like it's flying taller, but it's really floppy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna use that or not. But let's take a look at this thing. Just detail everywhere you look. The heavy bolters. You can actually have it so that the landing gear is out or in, whichever you choose, which is really cool. You got hunter killer missiles, a rotating heavy bolter turret. This thing is armed to the teeth. You know, you've got las cannons on the wings. These wings, they actually can go up or down. You can have it, you know, whatever you want. Get your X-wing on. I personally don't like that look. I don't like that at all. But I mean, it is what it is. I'm gonna keep it like this until I paint it. Then I'm gonna glue them down, because I don't like that. Then you've got your mega cannon here, which pretty much is gonna wipe out whatever it can hit if it hits. It's just the detail on this thing is phenomenal, man. Like, I just wish they could make full-size one, you know? But, you know, wishful thinking. So, yeah, this is just, it's exciting because this is a premise to larger things in this game. Like the Tau Manta, which is a huge, huge, huge craft. They made it for Forge World, but they haven't made it for this game yet. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, they make it for this game. And I just recently found out that the Necrons were coming out, but the Necrons are being produced by Forge World. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means we're going to get another Aeronautica book from Forge World, or we're going to get a supplement book from GW, including the Necrons, you know, because it's not a full-on GW faction. So a lot of times Forge World will make their own rules for it and put it out. And my biggest beef with this is, you're paying a lot for Forge World models. They're very, very expensive. Even back in the day, the Aeronautica fighters, we got them because we really loved the game, but it was expensive. Not even gonna lie, those models were really, really expensive, and it's frustrating because like I just went to look at my orc fighters the other day, and a lot of them are warped, just sitting in storage. You know, and no matter how much you warm up the resin, you whatever, it always warps back, and it's just frustrating as hell. So when they came out in plastic, I was like, great, now I don't have to worry about that, you know. And they're durable, they're tough. You know, I don't recommend breaking them, but I'm just saying, like, if it falls, it's not going to break. I actually dropped this when I finished. Right when I did the fuselage and the wings, I dropped it, and I was like, oh, no problem. But I'm just saying, like, if Forge World starts taking over again with Aeronautica, we're going to see very, very slow releases, very limited releases, and very, very expensive releases. So, fingers crossed, people, that we get Games Workshop to keep pushing this game forward and keep, you know, giving us this product, you know what I mean, like producing this product and supporting this line. It's such a good game. It's not even, you know what I mean. But yeah, there you go. Thunderhawk gunship, man. It's like a barn. It's like a flying barn. It just bullies its way through the air, you know. But it's pretty cool. It's going to be really interesting to see the dynamic that this type of ship brings to the game, you know. And I know there's like an orc mega bomber, like from Forge World. It's like huge. Yeah, the same thing. It's like, it's a big, huge $90 model. It's like, I'm not paying that kind of money for an orc bomber. Like, I'll just make my own. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. All right, let's get over to the chair and I'll give you guys my final thought. All right, guys. So there you go. That is the Space Marines Thunderhawk gunship from Aeronautica Iimperialis, and pretty cool kit, man. Like, it's pretty big. I checked it next to the orc grot bombers, and it's not as big as you would think it is. But we can do that for a different story. As I said before, pretty decent kit, went together pretty smooth. The only thing you really got to pay attention to is the fuselage when putting that together. Just make sure you're holding it, or like, just make sure you got pressure on it when it's gluing together. Otherwise, you'll get a little gap there. It's really minor, and no one's going to see it unless I point it out. But it's just something to be attentive to. Also, I've had it in the box for a bit with the other ships, and the gun barrel cracked right here, right there. It just, something must have pressed down on it and it cracked, and then I was able to glue it back together. But just something to be taking note of when you're storing these guys. Like, I just have them in the box for now. I don't have them in foam trays or anything like that yet, but once I paint them, then I'll put them someplace safe. But also, like, my only real beef is these wings, and I know why they have them this way. You know, the Thunderhawk they do move, but I don't like, you know what I'm saying? I don't like floppy parts, so I'm gonna paint this first, and then I'll just glue them down. Just, you know, or maybe I'll glue them up. I don't know. I'm not a fan of the way it looks with them up. Some of you might be, but I don't know. I like them down. They just look normal to me. I glued them with the landing gear in, but you can put them with the landing gear out. I have a buddy who he glued them with the landing gear out so that he could make this a piece of terrain as well as a gaming piece, which was a pretty cool idea. He made a base for it that he magnetized, whatever. It was a really cool idea. It was actually something I wish I would have thought of before I built it, but whatever, you know. But there you go, man. That is the Thunderhawk gunship from Aeronautica Iimperialis, man. This is a really cool model. Definitely worth getting into your collection if you're playing Space Marines, or even if you're thinking about it, you know. Plus, it's a plastic Thunderhawk. I don't know if we're ever going to get a large scale one. And even if we do, would people even be able to afford it? Most people. But anyway, there you go. As always, guys, like, subscribe, share, and we'll catch you on the next one.